Hey everyone, happy Valentine's Day. Today I'd like to share with you more of a story than a testimony, but I think overall the whole story is a testament of the power of God and how light is more powerful than darkness. Um, I know it's Valentine's Day, but today I'm going to talk about my divorce. So, a few weeks ago I shared a story about my snowmobile accident. And I believe that was a turning point in my life. That's when God decided He was going to change some things in my life. He gave me a second chance. He could have let the enemy win. The enemy could have killed me. But God said, no, I got big plans for this guy, and I'm gonna keep him alive for a while. And about a year later is when a friend of mine came up to me and said, hey, I've seen your wife fooling around with some guy at the bar. And I couldn't believe it. I've always felt marriage is sacred, even before I was a believer. I didn't believe on cheating on your spouse. I never cheated on my wife. I didn't expect her to cheat on me. I feel, if things ain't working out in a marriage or a relationship, you should break up and then start seeing other people, not the other way around. So I took it pretty hard, but I confronted her, asked her if it was true, and she said yes. And then she started the blame game. It was my fault. It was all my fault. I was gone too much. I didn't give her enough attention. I didn't love her the way I should have. Whatever it was, I tried talking her into counseling. Try to rekindle it, which would have been a lot harder for me than it would her. To trust somebody again and whatnot. But I was willing to go through that, and she said nope. She was pretty stuck on her decision of going through a divorce. So the divorce took 2.5 years. It was a brutal divorce. Uh, we didn't even have anything to fight over except for the kids. And my job, I get laid off in the winters. So the lawyers played a little game where my lawyer was waiting until winter to try to, tell the judge that, hey, he's laid off in the winter. He can be with his kids quite a bit. And her lawyer was playing the same game, saying, let's wait, let's stall until spring when he goes back to work, and then we can tell the judge that he's never home, and this and that. And this went on for 2.5 years, where finally I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna end it. Let's get it done and over with. It is what it is. All we're doing is making the lawyers rich out of this. So we finally ended it, and I was pretty bitter for a long time. It took me a long, long time to get over it. I'm not even sure if I'm 100% over it yet. I'm working on that. I'm working on forgiveness, forgiving myself, forgiving her. Um, but the reason I was so bitter was that I had to start over with basically nothing. I mean, we split everything we had, but she got the good half of everything. Of course, she got the good car, the nice couch, the better TV, the nice bed. You know, I got all the crap, but I could buy all that stuff. That wasn't the end of the world. What really bothered me the most was that I had to relearn how to live life as a single parent and as a single person. We were together for 15 years, ever since high school, and I didn't even know what it was like to be single. I guess what bothered me the most was that I had to relearn life, and she didn't. All she did was replace me. She didn't miss a beat. She kept going on with her life, and and instead of me there, it was somebody else. Where I had to rearrange everything. I had to learn new things. Um, Being a single parent, I had to learn how to take care of the kids by myself, which I'd never done before. So that was probably the hardest part, was just reliving life. And I was vulnerable to the enemy. Um, the enemy sat down next to me one night and said, "You know what? I can make you happy again. I can give you friends. I can uh, make sure you have a good time." And we'll get into that on another day. We'll continue this story on, how I became an alcoholic and spent $2,500 a month at the bar. Yeah, I had a good time, but it wasn't what God wanted. It was what the enemy wanted, and like I said, I was vulnerable, so the enemy had his way with me. But I still believe it was God's decision to get that woman out of my life. There was no future with God being with her. Um, she's proven that to this day. She's still not a Christian. I hope she gives her heart to Christ one day. That would be awesome. But for me in my life, I guess God had better things planned. And yeah, he definitely started with, giving me a second chance at life with the snowmobile accident. And then going through that divorce, which at the time, that's the toughest thing. You don't know. You're just hurt. You don't know God's plan. You can't just say, "Oh, well, it must be God's plan. Okay, I'll move on." No, you're bitter. You're angry. You have questions that don't get answered, and it's confusing. Especially as a non-believer. If I would have been a believer, I might have had a slim chance at trusting the Lord on why it happened. But back then, I was just a mess. But everything happens for a reason, and God had a plan for me. And I guess the testimony for today would be that everything happens for a reason, and I wouldn't have my wife today or the 3 children and my stepchild, which I consider my fourth child with my wife. I wouldn't have any of that. I wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for that divorce. That day I got divorced changed my life for the better, even though I didn't know it and I didn't see it. So I'd like to share a scripture like I do every week. This week is Philippians 1:12, where Paul writes something that feels like I could have wrote it to you guys, all you listening and watching. Word for word, I could have wrote the same thing. He says, "And I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that everything that has happened to me here has helped to spread the good news." Which to me means, if it wasn't for everything that happened to me, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be recording this video right now, sharing with you guys all these testimonies. Um, it's all good news. It's the word. And Romans 8:28 also, if you guys want to look up that, it basically says everything happens for a reason, and it does. So have faith. If you're going through some bad times, just know that, like my friend Dan said, it's like being in the forge. You gotta go through the fire. You gotta get hot. You gotta get soft, and let God shape you. You're just a chunk of steel, but you gotta stay in the fire long enough to get hot. If you don't, it's gonna take a lot of work to mold you to where you need to be. So stay in that fire, and we'll continue on with this story. I'll get into the drinking, the drugs, the second marriage, the kids. There's so many testimonies yet. Some good stories. I appreciate you guys listening and checking out my videos. It's a pretty interesting life I got, so it's worth sharing. If I could help just one person, it would be worth it to me. So keep your head up. If you're going through some tough times, stay in that fire. Stay in that fire as long as you have to. It gets soft, and God will form you and shape you. So don't lose hope. Just keep your head up. We'll chat with you guys next week. Love you all. Bless you. Have a good week. Bye.